This mapping exercise started in the Zambezi region in September 2019 and was halted last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It, however, resumed in April 2020 and will be done to prepare for the main census in August this year. And with more details on this, I'm now joined by the manager of corporate communications at the NBC Statistics Agency. That's Mr. Iipumbu Sakaria. Very good morning to you, Mr. Sakaria. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. Just looking at the census mapping exercise, of course, it started in 2019 in September in the Zambezi region, but we saw that halt last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and then, of course, resume. Just speak to us about the impact that COVID-19 has had on this exercise here.
Yes, it was quite significant. When you have to halt something, it's an issue, but we managed to proceed. Like it said, we started actually October 2019 in the Zambezi region.
Okay.
Why we started with that one was we wanted to avoid floods. We wanted to avoid the rainy season that side,
Yes.
and wanted to make the most of it while it was still around.
Mm-hmm.
So we then proceeded until last year March, and of course that is when COVID really hit and the lockdown came,
Yeah.
and it essentially also locked down our own activities. So it was quite an issue, but we managed to. Until then, we managed to finish the Zambezi region, and we had started with the rest of the country.
Yeah.
And as we speak, we have proceeded with the entire country, yes.
Yeah. How big of a setback was this, and how far along is the census mapping exercise? And are you still on track, with your initial time frame set here?
Yes, the setback was significant, I would say, because if you lose a good 5-6 months of a project, it's quite significant. However, we have what we've done is we've doubled our teams.
Mm-hmm.
So we've increased our logistics, our manpower, and the teams on the ground in order to catch up. And as we speak, we are aiming to finish by March this year, so that it gives us still sufficient time to fully concentrate on the census that is taking place this year in August.
Fantastic. Just for the sake of our viewers, what does the census mapping exercise entail? What is it in essence here?
Yes, you see, mapping, in very short, it's a census of infrastructure in the country. So what we essentially do, we fly over the whole country. We don't fly anymore.
Yeah.
We take pictures, we take aerial satellite pictures of the entire country, and then we identify all the built-up structures,
Yes.
whether it's a school, it's a clinic, it's a house, it's a power station, whatever is built up from the ground. And once we have those aerial pictures, we then go onto the ground physically with our enumerators,
Yes.
and we identify, demarcate, and indicate what these structures are.
Okay.
This will help us now, of course, come out. Let's say we identify this is a house, this is a school, this is a clinic, it's this type of infrastructure, it's that type of infrastructure.
Yes.
And it helps us to come up with databases. So we'll have a register where we'll be able to tell you exactly where is what, and it also helps us, of course, to put locations to certain infrastructures,
Yes.
which will make life in terms of planning much easier.
Yeah. And what sort of information is expected from the public here?
From the public, what we expect when we come to them for the census mapping is essentially just identification of the physical infrastructure,
Yes.
what it is, maybe how many people occupy that infrastructure, and essentially what it is used for, so that it helps us to identify and correctly put it on our registers, on our databases,
Yes.
so that we have up-to-date infrastructural databases or ideas of what's going on in the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some may have a question, around the need to conduct, a census exercise. We know that it's conducted every 10 years or a decade or so. For those who are wondering, why can it not wait till things subside, till perhaps after the pandemic or so? Why is it important, for a census to take place within a specified time? Yeah?
Yes, it's for various reasons. Number one, it's timely. You want to be able to compare statistics in a certain period.
Yes.
For example, you can't want to say in 1832 we had this census, and then the next one you have it in let's say 1870 something,
Yes.
and then the other one, the time is different. So the standard that is used most over the world is 10 years. Number one is because it's a massive exercise. It's
Yes.
the most complete statistical exercise. It's a very, very expensive exercise, which requires quite a lot of resources. And you need, that is what gives you up-to-date information about the socioeconomics, the demographics,
Yes.
the spatial infrastructure of the country. So you need that information to plan. And when you have data that is outdated, if we today continue planning with data from 1991,
Yes.
2001, 2011,
Yes.
it might not be what is on the ground today, and you might make decisions based on wrong data. So why it is important is to have up-to-date information to enable everybody to plan properly, to understand the environment, to understand what's going on. And that is why it's done. Why can it not wait for a
Till
better
after
time?
Yeah.
When we say after COVID, when is after COVID?
Exactly.
When is after COVID?
Yes.
What if COVID is with us for the next 5 years, 10
Exactly.
years?
Yes.
Are we going to say we're not going to have COVID for the next, I mean, census or statistical collections for the next 20 years
Yes.
because with this, life continues, life goes on.
And one can agree that even now, in the middle of a pandemic, it's all the more convenient to get up-to-date information in exactly what the situation looks like on the ground. here.
How do you want to help people if you don't know what is going on?
Exactly, yeah.
Especially in this environment. So in terms of when we say we must wait until it's over, who can guarantee us when it is over?
Exactly.
The best thing to do is really just to take the necessary precautions, put all the methods in place to ensure that it is done in a correct manner.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to say we'll wait until after COVID. When is after COVID?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Sakaria, just going back, to a decade ago, to 2011, when we last conducted our census, looking at the changing situation, especially over the last few years and especially over the course of the last year, how different in terms of information pertaining to the socioeconomic side of things, income, expenditure, etc., how different do you think the picture will look after the conduct of this census?
Yes. Okay. You see, we don't generally. Okay, we have, for example, projections, but we are not in the business of essentially guessing what will be the situation tomorrow. That would be very dangerous for us because, for example, if we give you economic data, and then before that, we also guess. We say, we think that by next year, the GDP will be this. Now, imagine we collect data, and then the figure that we projected and what we find on the ground is completely different. Or it is exactly what we thought it is. It compromises quality of data and, of course, trust. So what we do is we only concentrate on actual data. So we will only know once we have completed the survey, the census, only then will we know what is the situation on the ground. And we leave projections, speculations, estimations, forecasts, we leave it to other people because it can bring too many problems. Today I'm telling you, I think inflation will be 5% tomorrow. And then tomorrow when we release it, it will really be 5%. Will you not think maybe I cooked the data or I want it to be close to what I said? And if it is not, will it not negate the perception where people
enough.
think?
But I think my question was more like, can we agree that, we can expect a much more different picture from a decade ago, considering, the events of the past decade? You're looking at drought, you're looking at economic contraction, you're looking at all types of, challenges that the country has experienced here.
You see, in that instance, I must say that the only constant in life is change. So obviously we should have different types of figures. Population-wise, definitely, maybe the socioeconomics should be definitely different because of a lot of things that happened.
Exactly.
So that is quite indicative, but we don't, like I said, we wait for the actual data so that we then make analysis to compare.
Mr. Sakaria, just any final remarks from you this morning, and also perhaps a word of advice to the public when, of course, encountering your enumeration officers, etc.
Yes, the first thing that I think I want to say, number one, is to appreciate the public, that they always cooperate with our statistics collectors,
Yeah.
with our enumerators, with our requests to have up-to-date information. That is the first thing. Number two, it's to request them to continue cooperating with our enumerators.
Yes.
They must be aware that they are collecting information for the country,
Yes.
for the nation, that will help us to plan better. And number three, COVID. We want to assure the nation that all our statistical collections exercises since COVID,
Yep.
they are in line with the protocols, meaning we ensure that our enumerators wear masks, have social distancing, sanitize, and all protocols are adhered to. So because we move from houses to houses, it's important that we do not become conductors or conveyors
Yes.
of COVID,
Yeah.
but only collect statistics that we need, and we've put in methods in place to ensure that that is done. So the nation should rest assured that whatever we do right now is COVID compliant,
Yes.
and we just request people to take a bit of their time to assist our people and assist themselves and the nation in that regard.
Yeah.
And yes, definitely together we can make it, and we look forward to their cooperation.
Very much so. Mr. Sakaria, thank you so much for being here this morning, and all the best with this mammoth undertaking. We do hope that you carry it out diligently.
Thank you for the invite.
There you have it. That's Iipumbu Sakaria, the Manager for Corporate Communications at the Namibia Statistics Agency, talking to us this morning about the census mapping exercise. Of course, they are hoping to conclude this exercise by March ahead of the main census starting in August. And of course, just calling on the public to please play their part and be cooperative in this regard in terms of providing information to the enumerating officers, etc.